Class 161 on the Golden Doves. Welcome to Torah Tandalus. For those of you new to the channel, this is difficult material which requires effort. So this is not just a quick tidbit. For quick tidbits, you're welcome to go to my Instagram channel, and there I have quick tidbits. But for the YouTube, I generally try to keep it as such. High-level learning. So page 90 on the Golden Doves, this explains why one who studies only 2 orders of Mishnayot and is fluent in them is preferable to another who studies all halachot is not fluent in them, because again, as you will recall from the previous class, the purpose of studying the halachot was to know it by heart, word for word, in the precise formula that it was composed in, so that it could be transmitted in that way. So if you know something in a sloppy manner from the perspective of memory, you don't know the halakha. But the halakha was intended to be transmitted precisely as it was composed. That's why memory and precise memory was so important. Let me just check the footnotes. Give me a moment. I'm sorry. Footnote 16. Okay, let's continue in the main text, that is. Ideally, a rabbinic scholar had to be completely fluent and capable of responding with absolute accuracy to whatever inquiries were made of him, because they would study things by heart. So if somebody asks you a question, answer, right? Right. Okay, referring to the oral text, the rabbi said, they must be pointed on your tongue, right? Yes, sharp. You should be able to just say it. So that when one asks you something, you do not hesitate, but say it to him instantly. The same way if somebody says, how are you feeling today? Feeling good, right? Instantaneous, it's right there. So the words of the halachot have to be right there on your tongue. When asked the question, the rabbinic scholar answers by citing a traditional formula, right? We don't just speculate. You know the halakha, say the halakha. You don't know the halakha, then there's nothing to say. One of the characteristics of the rabbinic scholar is that he responds in accordance with the halakha, right? Meshiv halakha, right? So if somebody asks you a question, what things do not have a shiur? So he says, right? So you know the answer, right? Right. How many domains are there on Shabbat? So you say, Siyot Shabbat, Shetayim She'en Arba Bifnim, Ushtayim She'en Arba B'chuz Kesat, right? You have to know, so you should be able to know the halachot fluently, right? So I'm looking at the footnote 18, the usual explanation in accordance with the law. So usually people say, Meshiv Ka means he says the correct law, right? The word halakha, remember, is understood to mean law, right? So people say Meshiv Halakha means you're replying with the law, renders the whole statement superfluous, right? Accordingly, we may distinguish between a reply that a student gives in the form of a quotation from an authoritative source and hora'ah, authoritative reply, which is not a quotation and therefore requires semicha, ordination. So, if you're a Talmid, you have to be Meshiv Kahalacha because you don't have the authority to make a legal ruling on the matter because you're a Talmid. So the authority of your answer derives from the fact that it's a halacha. If you yourself are an authority on the matter, right? You're Gamir, you're Sabir, right? And therefore, you Meshiv, you can make a hora'ah, then you can make your own Pesach Halacha. That's not Meshiv Kahalacha, right? Meshiv Kahalacha means you state the authoritative law, and the authority of your answer is not by virtue of who you are, but by virtue of what you said. Right? So a person who has semicha, ordination, is a person who can be Meshiv as a hora'ah, not necessarily as a halacha. The language, vocabulary, and style of halakha reflect concern for verbati memorization and transmission. It's very interesting. So when the Rabbeinu Kadosh edited the Mishnayot, he edited these halachot with the view that they will be studied by heart and transmitted by heart. So the particular style utilized took that into account. Because halakha to be memorized, it required a most extreme form of linguistic condensation, right? You don't want to have, even the Mishnah, to study the whole Mishnah B'al Peh is almost impossible for us mortals, right? But in those generations, they did it somehow. And yet, they had to try to keep the Mishnah as concise as possible, maximum linguistic density. Otherwise, you'd be studying, insane amounts of things by heart. How much can a person study by heart? In the formulation of halakha, a teacher was expected to be succinct. One should always teach his students in a concise way. Now you see why concision, or concise, or density is so important. Looking at the footnote here, on this point, see Rabbi Emmanuel Chayrike Hon Hoshem HaShavot. I was quoting the wrong. Hon Ashir. He further observed that occasionally a word is chosen simply because it happens to be shorter than another. Very interesting. And you save a letter here, you save a syllable there, you save a consonant there, and it's much shorter. The Mishnah. Finally, we must note what is known as Mishnah Hasera, faulty or wanting Mishnah, in which only the theme in general terms is mentioned without any definition of the laws concerning it. Very interesting. All right. So, for the sake of illustration, let us consider the case where the Talmud, Baba Batra, discusses the procedure to be followed when the three experts designated by the court to assess the estate of orphans fail to reach an agreement. And we will start with this next time.